Welcome back to the ANCNU, the program that focuses on the activities surrounding the Washington metropolitan area. Now, I'd like you to join us as we discuss the future of the only radio station in the metropolitan area whose premise is jazz and justice. And today we have with us Mr. Willard Jenkins, Ancient Future, WPFW, Ms. Miyuki Williams, Sunday Kind of Love, Tom Porter, interviewist extraordinaire, and he brings to us so many political political figures from around the world. And of course, Ms. Joni Eisenberg, Heal DC. I'm Robin Holden, I'm your host today. One of the questions that I'd like to bring to the table is over the last 10 months, the general manager has never called a meeting to address the volunteers and the staff in general with over 100 hosts. Now, this plays into the management style and some of the issues that you had previously discussed, and I'd like somebody to pick that up, because even in organizations that have 3 or maybe 4 employees, there is at least a monthly meeting to continue to steer the course of the organization, and this individual has over 100 programmers and has never addressed any of them about anything. So I open the floor, and anybody that would like to jump in from here.
Tom Porter can attest to this, having been an interim general manager before. But it's unprecedented that we would go this long without having a mandatory programmers meeting with the general manager. That in itself is part of what I refer to as in the quality control area. And, we need that kind of communication. We need that kind of feedback. We need to meet together and to explore our various issues and to make ourselves better. And that kind of 10 months, to go 10 months without having an all-station meeting is unprecedented. And it took us to file a letter of no confidence in the current general manager to force him to have the very first mandatory programmers meeting this past Saturday. Now, I mean, how absurd is that, Tom? From your perspective,
it's ridiculous when you understand the kind of station that WPFW and Pacifica stations are. It's not a corporate station. It is a station whose very core is to address issues that are important to the community, and the people who do that are volunteers. And the thing that brings the volunteers together, these are people who do all kinds of things in their day-to-day lives, and they volunteer to do on-air programming at WPFW. So central to accomplishing that is being able to come together, share with each other, have some understanding of where the station is going. I mean, right now we're in the midst of this trying to move, and not understanding that is not only harmful to the programmers, but it's also just harmful to the community, and it's a betrayal of the community's trust.
Joni or Miyuki, would you like to pick up on that?
I would also like to add that, again, going back to the corporate management style, not only has there been no meeting of the volunteers, but more recently there have been the paid staff. It's only the top management that has been meeting. So the frontline staff that does the news, that works on cultural affairs, etc., they're not being brought to the table for meetings either. So it's only the 1% that is.
And let's not lose sight of what she just said. We are all volunteer programmers. Okay, we are all volunteers. And we're not trying to shirk responsibility. We desire to have these kinds of meetings.
Miyuki?
The challenge has been, since Mr. Hughes has taken over, is communication. First of all, we don't have the best internet service, so that it's not easy for us on the WPFW.org to communicate well with each other. Things bounce back, mailboxes get filled up, so it's not the best means of communicating. He does have weekly pledge drive meetings, but they're set between 4 and 6, when most of the volunteers who work at the station have day jobs or at work. So it really precludes us from really participating in a real way. I have been able to participate, and I would take notes and send it back to the PA, and I would take the feedback that I received from the PA back to the pledge drive meetings, but I was virtually ignored in terms of the requests. Can we please fulfill the past thank you gifts that we owe the audience? Can we please seek other means of having raising money other than just pledge drives? Other things that the PA brought up, I would take back, but I was virtually ignored to the level of frustration. He did have a retreat back in August for staff, LSB members, community advisory board members, and the programmers. But again, it was done during the weekdays, during working hours. So it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe, from 9 until 6. So it precluded, again, many of the volunteers who have day jobs to participate and be able to make input and have that exchange. There was a meeting that the PA sponsored. There were 2 meetings, in January and in March. The PA had our monthly meeting, in which we try to cover a lot of material. We try to train each other how to do better, to produce better shows, how to use networking and different type of media. But and we have other things that we have to cover as a PA. But for 2 meetings in January and March, he asked if he could make a presentation, which is fine. But everyone who works at WPFW is not necessarily the PA. Again, a full station meeting is really what's required to communicate to everyone what is going on. And that's what's lacking, because again, there are major issues. Staffs at that time, staff hours have been cut in half. There were new modes of development that need to be developed. We're moving into a new home, and we have no idea where we were. And then just the idea that we have an interim program director who couldn't make any changes. So then, as Willard stated, we could not make, as a station, improvements in order to have a better sound and be better broadcasters.
Okay.
It's an antiquated management style. Even in corporations today, they talk about inclusive rather than exclusive. We have a general manager whose style is exclusive. In a world where democracy is the #1 word that we hear every day, even reckless dictators talk about democracy, and this guy does not share anything. So I'm just saying it's so out of the ballpark that he would come to a community radio station and not have an understanding of shared decision making, of sense of shared community.